Hi, good morning. Harmony here. And I just wanted to leave you a quick video this morning to talk about transitional loss, kind of tag onto Amy's blog that she posted on Tuesday about this same subject, which was such an awesome story that she wrote about and just what she's been experiencing since she, as a military spouse, has had to say goodbye to a good friend. And that's a type of transitional loss. As a military spouse myself, I recently had to leave and move away from a place, our family did, and go overseas. And so the concept of saying goodbye is not new to me. It's definitely a type of transition. It brings change and new experiences and saying goodbye to the old, right, into my life. I've been a military spouse for 17 years, so I definitely am familiar with this. It's never easy. It doesn't get easier to say goodbye, or whether you're the one leaving or you're the one staying. But I have learned some things in my 17 years as a military spouse. And even if you're not a military spouse, the concept of transitional loss is not just reserved for those of us who transition often. Saying goodbye is a part of life. Moving is a part of life. So hopefully this resonates with those of you who may not be military spouses as well. Amy addressed different things in her blog, and one of the things she discussed was there are 5 areas of grief, or 5 levels of grief, I should say. And they are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. I myself can very much so relate to all 5 of those areas, as I have transitioned from one home to another in the past 17 years. I think the one that I've lived in for longer than the most, or longer than the other ones the most, is the depression stage. It hits you really hard when you leave somewhere and you have to say goodbye to your comfort zone. You have to say goodbye to your family, friends, and everything that you're familiar with to go somewhere new, which can be exciting, and it is exciting, but it's also really hard. And I tend to quickly go through the denial, anger, bargaining stages, and then I land in depression and I stay there for a little while. I don't know if any of you guys are like me, but that's just been how it's been for me. And what's gotten me through those times is, instead of focusing on how much I miss my friends, how much I miss my comfort, how much I miss my favorite fast food restaurant, for example. Right now we are overseas and there are no Chick-fil-A's, and that's really difficult. It sounds petty and silly, but my kids and I would probably have Chick-fil-A more often than we should have, but definitely once a week, and there's no option for that here. So just finding something to fill that desire for yummy, delicious chicken from Chick-fil-A, that's been really frustrating and made us all kind of been sad as well. So it's the little things and it's the big things, saying goodbye to people and saying goodbye to things and places. But during those times where I've missed everything that's been so familiar, the Lord has reminded me of Deuteronomy 31:8. It's kind of been a lifeline verse, and one I wanted to share with you, you ladies who might be struggling with a season of transition. And it says, "It is the Lord who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not leave you or forsake you. Do not fear or be dismayed." And I think for me, this resonates so well because when we transition, it's change, right? It's a type of change. And like I said, it can be good. And our family was so looking forward to coming overseas. This is a new thing for us, a new season. The Lord promised us just so many wonderful blessings that are going to come out of this time. But it's easy to become afraid or become doubtful when we are waiting for like the comfort to set in, if that makes sense. When you're in the waters of everything's all new and it's overwhelming and you just feel like it's gonna like flood you, because you don't know what's next, what's around the corner, and you're constantly hit with this is new and having to get used to this, and then you're still missing everything that was just so dear to you back from where you were before. It's really hard to remember that the Lord is with you, and He came here before us, and He prepared for us to come here, and He's got a plan, and there's nothing for us to be afraid of because He's with us. I think we can forget that. And not only that, I think that we forget that he sympathizes with us and has compassion on us when we are missing those people and those things and those places that are so dear to us, when we have to leave and go somewhere, or when other people leave us. He has compassion on us, and He doesn't want us to be sad because He loves us. And I think it's easy to forget that when we're in the middle of it, but that's very much so the truth. I looked up the word transition, and it means the process of changing from one form or condition to another, which we all know that. That's not new. Because as a military spouse, I like to say, every time I move, I get to remake myself. I get to go to a new place, and people don't know me from before, and I get to reinvent myself. And it's true. It's fun. That makes things more exciting, and, you kind of can create a new personality, not a personality, but a new aspect of your character, and maybe draw on some strengths that you didn't draw on before. And people don't have to know everything about you that you don't want them to know, things like that. So that's a one way that transition is good. But I also thought this was really interesting. Transition is a link between ideas or sections in a work of literature or music. I'm a musician, so this really spoke to me, and I love to read, so I love literature. So the transition part is literally like a necessary part of the literature or the music. It takes you from point A to point B, or from this subject to this subject, or from this musical bar to this instrumental section, and I just think that's so, really amazing to me. It's just kind of talks about the waiting period between the two, and how in order to get from one note to the next, you have to have that in between. And I don't know about you, but for me specifically, in a song, when I hear a song, the instrumental section that leads to the bridge from the chorus is the most powerful section. You know what's coming. You know something good is coming, something around the bend, because you hear that little famous 3-note or 4-note repetition, and so I want to encourage you that maybe you're in a transition right now, and maybe it seems like you're never going to get out of it, and you're waiting for the next thing to come. But the transition is what prepares you, and what empowers you, and what equips you for the next season. This is really long, but there was a lot I wanted to say, because I've been in a period of transition for a long time. Ultimately, don't discount this time, and don't overlook it, and hopes for the next season to come quicker than it needs to. And remember that the Lord is with you, and whatever it is you're going through, He's not going to leave you. Thanks, ladies. Talk to you later. Bye.